So we join back in with our adventurers. After last week, the group had split off and decided to conquer two different things at once. Ichi and Dante heading first up to the Zenith Ward to see if they could borrow the main vehicle, the Chaotic Embers vehicle. However, it's still looking in disrepair and needing fixing. They decided just to keep the borrowed cart that they've been offered and continued on. Meanwhile, Volu and Eleni were making a pretty, at first, interesting attempt to find a piece of thread that was attached to a cloak that they had detected quite a while
Excuse
ago
me,
now.
we were brilliant. We were
You were
brilliant.
you were pretty good.
Getting
There
out, we
was
might not have been so good, but we were
with
brilliant
with
going in.
with some greased palms and some illusionary magic, they managed to get through, grab the thread, and then head for some shopping. In the meantime, Dante and Ichi headed at first just to leave a note for Sir Arthur to let them know where to meet them. But upon arriving, saw Sir Arthur there and met the rest of their group. Whose name?
There was a dwarf that was there was a human that was relatively burnt, and then there was an
there was
orc.
Ash.
Yeah, that was the burnt person.
Ash was the human that was burnt.
There was an orc.
And there was the guy that we'd seen, but I don't think Dante knows that. Dante and Ichi don't know.
Well, he looked completely different. He had the same name.
Yes.
I didn't.
Delrond.
My character didn't know the name.
Yeah, so there was Ash.
So you've got Delrond.
There was Ash, Renna, and Tide. Tide was the orc. Renna was the dwarf.
Ash Tide also has slight webbed hands, don't they?
They are
and
fishified.
Renna was kind of like paranoid.
Paranoid and had very strange glowing scars all across their face and body. And yes, you did meet the other knight in the group. You will remember that the first three are squires.
Mm-hmm.
And you met the other knight in the group, Delrond, or Sir Delrond, and agreed to meet them the night after in the crevasse. One, to look at where the golem came from potentially, but two, to maybe have a chat and a conversation about what to do with Dante potentially.
Dante gone there.
I don't know what you mean.
So we join back now as I'm going to say the group have finished their individual things and have were headed on the way back. It is sort of evening time. Is there anything that individuals, other than just grabbing food and heading back, is there anything people want to do tonight, knowing that obviously you've got limited days? Obviously, you need to pick up the goods for the ritual.
I mean, we also got loads of food, didn't we? So I suspect we'd probably just go back with all the food. Maybe hide some
most of the food.
Yeah, I'll put some on one side when we get back so that Volu can't just eat it all before anyone else gets to it.
So Dante, does he need to get the stuff now? Or is that because I know there was not really a time limit of when to get
Not
it.
on getting the stuff, but obviously the ritual is tomorrow evening.
So presumably pick up the shit for the ritual.
If you want to do that.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Because I remember at one point I said Dante would just gone straight there, and then you went, they haven't ordered it yet. So how long a time has gone?
You would assume, because you went home, you rested that evening, so it's been like a whole night and a day. Like we're now in the evening of the first day, so you would assume if he's doing a rush order and if he plans to be ready for tomorrow evening, it's either going to be tonight or first thing tomorrow morning.
Dante will go and grab all that crap.
Okay. I'd say fairly easily done. You were given an address, you head down to it. The address is just one of the larger market stalls. The Cami Elixirs. I'll put that in the chat for you.
Is that a thing or a shop?
It's like a large stall. If you imagine that, like I was saying earlier, there are some stalls that are here permanently as the market is, and there are others the others that were set up because of the festival. Cami Elixirs is one of the larger ones, right in the center, that looks like a permanent fixture.
Cool.
And you would see that it's behind the desk at the moment. You would see a gnome and a human. Both seem to be female, hair tied up, wearing the same colors and aprons. It's a sort of light blue with a green apron. And both seem to just be moving around busily. One of them would just look up and say, any potions, elixirs, or things that we could help you with, sir?
I'm here to pick up this.
They would see the notes. Yes. Well, just one moment. I need 5 minutes. I have most of it, but I was just getting the final piece. And you would see that they continue grinding where they sort of were grinding.
Can I do just a quick insight?
Yeah.
Purely for the fact of if they're into potions and that, would they know what this is for?
Maybe, but also you imagine that if they work with Demetrius, that they probably also know what it's for, because you know that all of his work is highly illegal.
Yeah.
So he will use this person because they're discreet, you imagine. You can still insight away, but
yeah, just an insight, because I wonder if there was any kind of look
you
at
definitely know they know what this is for.
Fine, okay, but more say like, is this a look at me for anything? Like, is this to be used on you or for you?
Yeah, give me an insight.
10.
No, like they give you the look like you a courier, like a bit of a weird looking courier, but whatever.
Good looking courier, I think you meant to say.
Definitely didn't. But you would be able. They 5 minutes later, you see that they finish packaging up what they were grinding, and again, what they were grinding doesn't look like organic plant material. It's almost like a chalky white. And they pull it into a bag and go and you see they come out with a sizable package. It's all wrapped in cloth and neatly wrapped up. You notice it's all just plain, whereas there is definitely, you sort of notice there is definitely like branded stuff that they would use if you were just buying a few potions. But they give it over to you and say, let's Demetrius know we appreciate his patronage as always.
I think he wanted a couple of health potions as well on this order. He told me to let you know.
They just turn away from you and go back to doing what they were doing.
Well, fuck you then.
They don't deal with the courier boy. What are you on about?
Cool. Right. Well, we'll grab the stuff, put it away. Casino.
I mean, there isn't one. You can try and find yourself a gambling hall if you wish.
No,
I do imagine that each you went with, just because of the no leaving Dante alone rule.
Yeah, at the moment.
I would like to think that. However, we both know how good Ichi is at his job. He's probably still sat at the bar, kind of going, "It's really nice meeting some of the guys from my order."
Did you say casino out loud, or did you say that to Liam and be like, "Is there one around?"
I didn't say that. Period. That was me just being a dick.
Cool.
It did. Honestly, I did think about a casino could be a fun random thing, but I was just like, that's not Dante in the slightest. Maybe in 2 days' time it will be. Who knows?
Yeah.
If we get there,
he's going to lose all his money. He's going to be incredibly drunk, and he'll just be laying and be like, "I used to be somebody."
But yes, okay. So back to the storehouse. You would all be able to meet up.
Pretty much.
Ichi and Dante, you would get back. You would be able to smell some of the smell of food and maybe hear Volu and Eleni moving around. You would maybe even see Eleni trying on her
My new armor.
scale mail armor.
Yes, it's very cool. She's probably walking around the house, leaning up against different backgrounds to watch the color change. Sort of.
Be like, I'll just be there eating, and I'm like, whoa! Every time she disappears.
That's really wholesome.
But yeah, so you would come into to this happening. You would see that Eleni's new armor seems to blend in and camouflage to the background whenever they stay still. They have to. You would notice. So Eleni, for you, they've been doing it over and over and over. You're gathering that it's like 6 seconds of stood still. So if you were trying to use this in combat, it's like you have to stay still for the round.
Yeah,
I would pick up some like dust or rock, like a rock, and just like very gently throw it at Eleni
to see what happens.
Yeah.
So if you throw it at the front, nothing happens. When you throw it behind them, there is sort of a bit of a ripple, and you can definitely tell it's almost sort of reading the color from directly behind them.
So what's the mechanics of it, Liam? So literally, does it give me extra cover?
Yeah, it gives you advantage. So basically, you get if you're moving, there's no noise, there's no disadvantage. When you stand still, you get or if you're still, you get advantage on stealth checks.
Advantage on stealth. Cool.
And then obviously, if you expend the once a day, you can go invisible as the spell.
Oh, okay.
And that is obviously you concentrating on the spell, and I know you already have a way to go invisible, but it is
No, it's nice because I've got the Furbolg way, and I think I've got the spell as well, but to be able to do it an extra time is good. And that's a proper invisible, not my Furbolg 6 seconds invisible, isn't it?
Yeah, that's like I said, it's just as the spell. It's like as if you cast the spell at the level it can be cast first, if that makes sense.
I am going to make the armor. I'm just thinking about how at the moment.
Yeah,
I've just added straight scale mail for
now. But yeah, so yeah, you guys would come in. You obviously would see them come in. What is the plan for the evening?
Well, I probably want to hear about Sir Arthur and if we are meeting up and what's going on.
Yeah, when everyone kind of like when we come in and everyone's kind of like more gathered around, each will wander over. So we spoke to Sir Arthur. He's more than happy to come to the cave tomorrow to see what was going on, and figured that was also a good place that we could probably talk about Dante things going on.
I'm still a little bit, I don't know. I know he's part of your order, Ichi, and I know you trust him. He's probably a good man. But do we want to talk to him when we're going to be doing the ritual in the evening? What if he disagrees with what Demetrius is doing or tries to stop that going ahead? I don't know. What did you think, Dante? Did you get a read on him?
Did not speak much to me. He was more interested with Ichi, which I can understand. My trust here is fully in Ichi. If he says it is fine, this was his idea. He has guided me this far.
If it all goes wrong, Beecham, it's your fault. That's what that meant.
Oh, well, I'm aware.
Yeah.
Ichi's blissfully ignorant.
I don't
he
believe.
kind of like has a slight disheveled like kind of face, and why would he want to stop it? We're trying to bind an elemental, like a bad thing to stop it from reaching out.
I don't know. I don't believe that Demetrius is perhaps the most upstanding member of the community. He may not approve.
My only thought, I had not considered this before, is because Dimitri is into binding souls and possibly other things from other dimensions. Does that cross waves in your order at all?
Depends on the reason for binding. Binding for dangerous use, no. Binding for protection, yes. Like it in this case, we're binding for protection. We're stopping it becoming a weapon.
Then
If he chooses to disagree with the career that this individual has, that's his prerogative. But in terms of what we're doing,
This Demetrius, if he was to decide that he wanted to take the blade that now would contain Tenebris, I'm not sure that we could stop him. That's my worry.
it might be good to have Serata know about it, because then if Demetrius does take the blade, there's someone else on our side.
That is true.
Like, I understand your anxieties, but as you said, at the end of the day, if we're choosing to question Sir Arthur, a person from my order, more than a criminal,
I think it's about the fact that we don't know him. And I know that we don't know Demetrius either. I personally would have put some more effort into digging into his background first. And I'll look very pointedly at Dante, because Dante's just bull in a china shop about this. But
I understand.
I
trust my order.
okay,
and I
then-
trust you.
then let's do it.
And if for whatever reason Sir Arthur chooses to draw a blade, then we fight.
Okay.
Dante
Well,
then
you've
looks
got-
puzzled at you. Then
What? What's up?
you would fight someone from your order of seniority.
Well, if this person's choosing to go against the order's code, yes.
But what if he thinks he is following the code and he thinks that you're not following the code?
I feel at this point maybe we are just going down a rabbit hole of what ifs. At the end of the day, we have an option to get rid of this thing inside of me. What was his name? We literally just said it. Demetrius, thank you. We've got with Demetrius, and we have potentially another ally in Sir Arthur. Again, I've been around long enough to know that trust isn't something that you have when it's convenient. You have led me this far, and you have not failed. I trust that you know what you're doing and who can help me.
And I think we just need to be as prepared as we can be.
Definitely, if you need to, kill him.
Talking about Demetrius or Sir Arthur?
Both. How many people does Sir Arthur have with him? Does he have squires?
He does have
and
squires.
another
There are
knight.
3 squires and another knight. I believe only 1 extra person will be attending, and I believe they are of squire rank.
Didn't the other knight, I forget his name, didn't he have a squire as well?
I believe one of the squires at the table was already his.
Oh,
Yeah, there are 3 squires in total. Sir Arthur, I believe, has 2 with him, and the third is the other knight's squire.
So hang on, there's another knight of your order here?
Yeah. I wasn't aware, because obviously I'd only seen Sir Arthur, but I believe Sir Arthur's acting under kind of like his watch. It's Sir Arthur's mission and such, but I believe the other. What was the other one's name?
Glendol?
Well, you wouldn't know, Volu, because you weren't there.
Yeah, no, I was speaking. I was speaking
Yeah.
out of
I'm
character.
pondering on whether to give it or not.
No, I'm not going to give it.
No,
Yeah.
that was a question to
sorry.
Dante.
Oh,
While
Oh,
I
for
get my
no, the
hopes
valid.
up.
Yeah. No,
I'm
that's
going to
valid,
see if
that's
Chris
valid.
can remember a name.
Let's see if
that
I've
we
written
said
it
10
down.
minutes ago.
Go on, Chris, butcher it. Butcher that name.
I believe his name was Jonathan.
Yeah, Johnny to
So
his mates.
Jonathan, okay.
But you know what? No, I want to do a bloody intelligence check to do them because you allow history checks for memory things,
Yeah.
and I just rolled a 2.
Oh wow.
What was it? There was
However, my history's +6, so 8.
we had Sir Arthur and the 3 squires, which were Ash, Renner, and Tide, and Delmond. Delmond.
Oh, Delrond.
Delrond. That's it. Delrond.
Do you want me to roll, Liam, to see if I remember that name, or are you happy for me to
You
just?
two do. Well, you two don't need to roll. It's like, yeah,
Because I heard that name clearly.
Yeah,
the reason I'm just remembering
that
Delrond
moment
now
is very, very sort of burned in your recent memory.
the moment when the only reason I remember Delrond was every time you said it, I was just thinking Elrond because I've
Exactly.
I've just watched Lord of the Rings last weekend.
Lovely.
So you did that as well.
A lot closer than Glendale.
Or Glorfindel, or it's Delrond. You would see Aileni sort of stops and looks at you when you say Delrond. What did he look like?
Human, male, scruffy beard, kind of more of a tanned olive skin.
Perfectly for a night.
Do you remember we told you about that guy at Demetrius's house as we were leaving? The one that cast something and made me and Volu scared? He was called Delrond.
The guy that stared at me as we walked.
Yes, that was Delrond. I mean, could it be the same person?
They didn't look that same. Granted, I didn't really look. I just had someone with piercing red eyes staring at me before.
Made you scared?
Yeah, when we were leaving Demetrius's, Dante sort of rushed off towards the car. Volu had been shouted at by one of the items in the house. And so we were a little bit further back. And as we came out, there were 2 people coming towards us, like a tall human and then a smaller, could have been a gnome or another halfling maybe. And the guy, he was really scruffy. He had a beard and he had like black dead skin on his neck, but almost completely covered up, like head to foot in these cloaks. And as he looked at us, I just had to run away. I had to get as far away from him as I possibly could. And Volu, was it the same for you?
It was almost identical to how I felt when I first met you, Ichi.
Okay, then there is a chance that was him, because if he was using the same channeling magic, then...
But I didn't feel it. I would have felt it as well.
Maybe you were too far away at the time?
Maybe, but he did pass me. He passed me first.
It's not about a constant aura. It's those who are immediately in front of you.
I will say, as he says that, Volu, you do remember there was like that gold ring that like round his eye when he caught you looking up under the cloak.
He was really scary, but the pen and the quill that spoke to us at the door, he recognized him. It was the pen that said, "Hello, Master Delrond," or something, and let him in.
Right. Okay. What? So you were breaking into?
No, it's when we were leaving Demetrius's house, when we went and spoke to him about the ritual.
As we were walking out of the door, he was coming to meet Demetrius.
Yeah, and they knew him. He'd been there before.
Okay, well then,
it might have been him, but I didn't recognize him.
well, in
Looked
that
like
case, then we have nothing to worry about. If Delronda's already knows of Demetrius, then Serata's going to be fine with it.
Right? If Delrond is that
Um,
same person, I'm not sure I want him anywhere near me. He scared the living daylights out of me and Volu without knowing us, without speaking to us, without us doing anything. He walked past us and did something.
and he knows Demetrius, the
Who's dodgy?
shady bloke with stupid paintings.
Yes. All right. Bear with me while I try to. I mean, bearing in mind, first time you met me, very similar thing of I did that, and Volu and
But
I
you
now
did
are
that in the middle
relatively
of a
okay.
battle. You did that in response to somebody attacking you.
And he did it going to Demetrius, someone who he possibly knows deals with elemental fiends, fae, undead,
He did it to a furbolg and a halfling walking out of a house.
who may have been coming out possessed.
He had no reason to think that, Ichi.
But-
He had no reason. I mean,
No.
I know we've done some stupid things in the past, but he had absolutely no reason to make us feel that way.
No, but think of it this way. If there was no fae or any kind of like extra planar aspect to it, then it was a safe move. You wouldn't
So he
have
just
felt
goes
anything.
around doing that to everybody in the street, does he?
When coming from shifty places.
Well, I don't trust him. I'm happy for Arta to come along and his squire, but I don't want Delrond anywhere near me. He's the
I
same
understand
guy.
that. Delrond is not coming. Serata is. I'm just saying.
I just ask. Just again, I feel like stating this, and it might be blatantly obvious that it could be the same person. But two things. One, have we ever come across someone with the same name?
Well,
No.
yes.
And two, I didn't, like I said, the guy, all I saw of the other person was his piercing red eyes. And he did not have the same eyes.
Red and gold eyes.
Yeah, he had
I
gold
did not,
around
but
his eyes.
those were not the eyes that I saw earlier today.
Okay.
So it might be him, it could be an illusion. We don't know what he went in for, but at the same time, just because they are called the same doesn't necessarily mean it is the same person.
What race is his squire?
His squire was the dwarf.
I think so.
That was Renner.
Okay.
Like auburn
But
hair tied into
like
a
I said,
braid.
well, we didn't see their hair. They had hoods up, really. We didn't see much of them at all before they cast whatever
No,
they cast.
you would know though, Eleni, definitely not a dwarf. The squire,
More like a gnome, I think
the
you said.
second squire was very skinny. Gave you no more halfling vibe.
But dwarfs are boxy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even
just
hooded, this like.
I'm just gonna say, well, fine. Let's meet up with Arta and his squire tomorrow, but if he wants to come along to the ritual, I just don't want to tell too many people about this each.
I would rather him not come to a ritual. If we can warn him and say perhaps possibilities, but
That's what we don't even have to tell him about the ritual per se. This is more just getting his point of view on the situation.
I am just hedging my bets because if I need this to happen and I want this to work.
Yes.
And that is and I don't want one to overtake the other and be some sort of magical pissing contest and whoever wins gets what's inside of me.
No, of course.
Okay.
Did we say we were going to meet him tomorrow then, or did we say we were going to meet him that evening? Because it was during the day that we went to see him.
Yeah, it was.
I think it's
Yeah.
tonight.
Yeah,
Yeah. So now, really.
more or less.
Well, I mean, you said I don't know if you said evening.
I think
you had a
I said
time.
6 o'clock. I think I said 6 p.m.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was a specific time, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you did. I remember you giving a time.
So you've got
Yeah.
maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours.
while we wait, let's have some food. And because you said hedging your bets, why don't we play a game of dice?
I'm in. Dante actually breaks a smile. I feel like today could be a good day.
And then I'll whoop your butt. Take all your money.
Hmm.
I mean, go for it.
How much time have we got before we have to go out again?
Couple hours.
Yeah, so it'll take you probably about well, I mean, it's with the vehicle, bit less, but probably about 30-40 minutes to sort of get on your way. If they're traveling the same way, it's also fairly likely you might meet them on the way out there.
Okay.
So you've got maybe an hour before you actually have to think about going anywhere. Okay. So you rest up. You can knock off a short rest if people want to. I don't know if anybody needed it.
I will anyway, I think, just in case.
Ooh,
Well, actually, no, I don't know if I need it.
I didn't you actually use any.
No,
Okay.
not used any spells or anything.
No, I think
Yeah.
I'm pretty fair. So the time would come.
Did you hang on? Didn't you use disguise self and things?
I've used my
Furbolg.
Furbolg things, but I've not
Yeah.
actually used any spell slots.
Oh, cool, awesome.
But yes, you would be able to get yourselves ready, head to the vehicle. Is there anything people want to do prepping before they even get out the city? Any spells they want to cast almost before arriving? Let me know. Otherwise, you take the vehicle down. You would be able to make your way through the city. The city's fairly quiet. The first. Sorry, go on.
Actually, no, I'm not. Sorry, I was going to say that I was going to disguise self, but I'm not going to. I am going to, though, have my hood up and be doing the whole hiding thing.
So I will drive carefully and out of the way.
Yeah.
If anyone has
Sorry, Lee.
enhanced ability or anything, this would be a time to do it. Say, do it on someone for charisma checks, because good, going into this conversation.
I mean, it lasts an hour though. I remember, it depends when you're going
Yeah,
to say it.
maybe
to.
cast it when we get there.
Yeah, do it whenever we need to. Just do it away from anybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do I do a stealth drive?
Yeah.
I'll cast Bless second level, so then I can do it on all four of us.
Wouldn't do that yet. That lasts a minute.
Okay, I'll do it when I get there.
Still only lasts a minute. Conversation lasts longer than that.
Yeah. Okay, I'll just prep it in my mind.
Just thought I'd be fair about that. However, there is something you can do.
Don't know if I want to do it now. Okay, no, I'll give you some guidance.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't really need it, but I just thought
I'll give you some guidance. Yeah, I'll just
Okay,
yeah.
so that's 25. You gave me a +4.
Okay. You managed to maneuver safely and stealthily. And the city itself is pretty quiet. It's the first night after the festival. Things are going back to normal. You see, not really seeing it at this late time, but you're seeing the signs of the wagons that have set off as you get down towards the market. There's a lot less people there. For Eleni and Volu, who were down here earlier, some of the stalls that were set up have now gone. And you will be able to continue on out, eventually leaving the city. And as you venture out, you don't see any signs of Sir Arthur or his squire Ash, but you do see signs of guards posted up and down the road. Not like heavy guards, but there's sort of, it looks like maybe there's one patrol going up and down that you encounter on your way across. As you're coming up, they sort of just give you a nod. You can tell that they're not really. They must have been told to look for something specifically, if that makes sense. They don't stop and talk to you or anything. They don't, or just to watch out. As you get in a little bit closer towards the entrance to the crevasse, you would notice there is a number of guards and other city officials, and one of them does start to wave the vehicle down as you get a bit closer. I'm going to start taking things you say.
Is he really doing
Are you
that?
actually doing that?
Fine, probably not, because I don't want to cause issues right now.
I know that Chris is bored. I'm going to start taking some of the shit you're doing literal.
If even if you started, I'll just be like, oh, okay, well, let's see how this plays out.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
The rest of us might not be very happy though, Chris.
Yeah. But yes, you pull over towards the side. You would see there is a young half-orc guard that's sort of good evening. Can I just check what you are doing heading towards the crevasse? You know it is currently restricted to the public.
Ichi will kind of lean over. Hello, I'm a member of the Iris Knights. Myself and my companions here are meeting a fellow Iris Knight down in the crevasse. Due to
They always
elemental.
so Arta, yes, they have come through already. Can we ask you leave the vehicle up the side? Since the earthquakes and the movements, this has been a little unstable down there.
Of course, yes. Anything to help.
They will. You will see and it is like cordoned off. They've like fully blocked it with a wooden palisade style makeshift sort of thing. And as you get off, you would notice there is sort of a section to the side where there's like an animal, a camel sort of feeding and watering, and you would be able to pull over the vehicle to a space. You notice maybe 4 or 5 guards in the vicinity. And a number of other officials, including you notice a priest of the Andonite. Not one that you've seen before, but you notice one. Just they don't seem like they're doing anything in the immediate. They're sort of talking to the guards and such. And you would be. They're not like escorting you. You're free to mill around, so you can have a look around the outside if you want, or you can head in. But obviously, you can tell that they're still keeping an eye on.
Right. Well, I guess no time like the present to head on down.
Dante just kind of like will just nod, walk behind EG, anxious, but still just kind of, stone faced or trying to be as best he can.
Liam, I would.
Oh, roll a 1. He's anxious, and you can tell.
Yeah. I'm wondering about the armor with the coat on over the top. That's gonna stop the chameleon effect, isn't it? Am I better off taking off the coat and leaving the coat in the car if I wanted to be able to blend in using the armor? Does it matter mechanically?
I get what you're saying now, but like I'm not gonna penalize you having 2 magical items. It seems daft.
Yeah, I was thinking sort of physically, if I'm wearing the coat, that's sort of hiding the scales. So then, how are the scales blending?
Yeah, but also the coat has illusory effects on it as well. So you could always make it look shorter to have more of the scales out or change the style of it.
That's cool. I would say that I would, however, be holding back a little bit. I'd probably be following behind and just off to the side. And I'm looking around. I'm really scanning the area to see who else is here.
Okay. Give me a perception if you're scanning. And Volu and Ichi. I imagine Ichi leading the charge a little bit, fairly confident.
Pretty much, yeah. Heading on down. Yeah, looking for Serata, trying to find them.
That's
okay, that's
19.
it. Yeah, okay. Volu? Anything you're specifically doing?
I'll just be behind Dante, kind of following along, just keeping like an eye on stuff. But
okay. You start to head in, and obviously, if you remember from the race, it takes to the top of a lip and starts an immediate drop down into the crevasse. Upon reaching the top of that, Eleni with the 19, you'd immediately pick out the signs of like a secondary camp below. There's again a second cordoned off. There's standing torches. You can see from this height, there's like a few tables and box area. There is large sheets of paper that you can't really see what's on them, but they almost look like map paper from this distance.
Okay.
And it looks like there's another team of people, and you would see not like, oh my god, that's the Arta, but there's like a figure down there that's in large, heavy plate mail, as opposed to most of the rest of the guard that wear a breastplate. You know what I mean? There's one person down there dressed differently and distinctively differently. But you would be able to make your way down. As you get closer, you would be able to see more of the camp and hear the sounds of what sounds like they're tracking and looking into things, but also talking about the potential for collapse and other sorts of issues on that front. As you're approaching, you would hear Sir Arthur sort of saying, "Well, Captain, that's the benefit of not being, under the city, red tape and all. We can just head on in and take a look for you." And the captain's going, I know that you could just sort of, as you're approaching that, see my companions now, winners from the Grand Top Doom Hacker. No, we are capable adventurers. Yes, and they sort of looked at each as like, the captain here is saying political red tapes and things can't go in case of a collapse. I'm saying we adventurers do these things all the time. It is we accept the risks, right?
Yes, we're all fairly competent in our capabilities. Not only that, we also are aware of the kind of threats that we are going to be facing with down there. And also Sir Arthur and I deal with these kind of things on a regular basis. So if anyone going in, it's better to be us.
Give me a persuasion. I'm going to say it's not with advantage, but it's cancelled out the disadvantage.
I'll grab the back of Ichi at that point and give him a bit of guidance.
Ooh.
Okay, nice.
Oh, it's good. And the guidance makes it better. I'm having to use my phone because my PC just restarted itself.
Yeah, no.
Okay, so 19 plus 1 to a dirty 20 plus 6 from persuasion. So 26.
Okay, you would see this even that persuasive speech, they're like, try not to fucking die. If anything happens, still my boss will still be pissed. Adventures on now. Also, hang on a second. They're gonna shout over to one of the guys, and as they're sort of doing that, they'll be like, "Wait here, don't go in yet." So Arthur will turn and be like, Ichi, as good with your words as Bruce once was."
Sometimes all it takes is just to point out the obvious, even to those who are working on the guards.
And these must be the other members of your group. I remember Dante from earlier. That Dante, you would see, and for the others, they would motion. This is Ash. So obviously, earlier Ash was just in their Under Armour Squire gear. You can sort of see now that they wear a sort of chain shirt style armor. It looks fairly old, but has the etchings and emblems of the Iris Knights sort of built into each part of it. Ichi, for you, that's like Squire gear you saw drawings of in books.
Mm-hmm.
Like you never had gear that, like, obviously this was Bruce's that you're wearing now.
Yeah.
But that's like the official. Like if you were from this main chapter, you'd start.
Yeah, I was more wearing leathers on day one, whereas this is like, oof, this is good shit.
Yeah, this is proper official. You would see that they're carrying a fairly hefty backpack. There's different bits and bobs hanging off it, and it looks like it's almost like they're hedging for a 3-week trek through the mountains. That level of shit that they've brought, and Sir Arthur is wearing a full plate mail, similar to. So obviously, Ichi, for yours, you've got the breastplate, but then I imagine the rest of it is hodgepodge. It's not all like.
Yeah.
He has the finished piece, and it is newer and polished and all the likes. You see that they seem to have a longsword on their hip and a shield currently on their back.
Mhm.
And they're like, well, it worked nonetheless. We are probably going to have to sign some waiver, but we should be free to explore soon enough. And
Mhm.
your names, friends, your names.
I will turn and let them introduce themselves because I know both of their anxieties.
My name is Eleni.
I'm Clovis.
Good to meet you both. They do extend a hand, and we'll shake hands if
Yeah.
they extend the hand. But if you don't reciprocate, they just sort of move on. It's they're not really phased. But
No,
they
I
do.
would shake if he puts his hand out first. I would shake, but very very brief,
Mhm.
firm handshake and done.
Well, good to be exploring together. From what we've gathered already, they haven't gone too far because of the potential for collapse. The zones did quite a number on the underground system, so we do need to be careful. Keep your eye out for on the ground piles of dust that seems to be dust or dirt that is accumulating in one or few spots down the chasm could potentially mean a crack in the upper surface.
Okay.
We have some tools available, and Ash here can do some basic molding of earth, but any sort of spells you have of that nature will be useful while we are down there.
As obviously I am a Garundon from the Arid Lands, I'm quite decent with burrowing as well, so we can use my capabilities as well.
Useful. Good to know. I don't expect we will encounter much. If the zone spilled out and if the accounts are true that they were running, anything else that was in the tunnels should have also been running.
Mhm.
We will hope that it is a straight path, and I assume our intention is the golem. Yes.
Theoretically, yes, or at least to find evidence as to where it came from. Just also worth keeping an eye out for the is it like purple goo? Is that how we're like describing it? Like,
Infection.
yeah, like when it manifested on the golem, what kind of
It was almost hard, like crystal. It was only when
okay,
we started to damage it that
little bit like
became
chitinous.
chitinous. Yeah,
Yeah.
it when we started to damage it, then it was like the crystal started to melt and become more gooey.
Yes, they had that kind of form over them, so it might also be worth looking for evidence of that.
Do we
By the
still
way-
have the
The
cloak on
sample.
us?
Oh,
Or
What
did
was
we
that?
leave
Sorry,
it?
Golden?
Eleni, did we leave would we have left the cloak at the warehouse, you think?
The cloak, your cloak, or the
The one that
sorry,
we found with the thread in it.
yes, I think we'd have left that behind.
Yeah, because I was just then conscious of it going, oh, if we still had it.
Yeah.
Would
I
it
mean, I
trigger?
was well, I was going to ask Liam if when we were fighting it, because we did take some chunks out of it when we were fighting it, did we chip off any of the crystal? Would there have been any in the camouflage?
I mean, there would probably be. They probably would have collected it.
Yeah.
If you go over and sort of ask, they would have collected it up, and they would be able to tell you that it appears to be Zikar, unenchanted and almost spent.
So it's like something's used it up already, the charge in it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Most Zikar, even when innate, is primed with energy. That is, I mean, so far we have not found that it runs out, but this one is tapped.
So yeah, I would show that to Arthur and say to him, these are chips from the golem, but they were reddish, purplish. It wasn't this color.
Interesting. And Ichi, I don't know if have you mentioned already. You did mention about the sigil.
Yeah, I mentioned like
There's
when I
a-
first saw them about it.
I am not. I am not from the desert areas of Ursel, but if I remember correctly, it was the actions of Lurixa that created the Zikar, right? They would almost be looking
Yes.
to Ichi, sort of knowing that you are, and you were brought up on
Yeah,
Lurixian raising, for the most part.
I believe so.
That it might make sense that a worshipper or somebody who was devout to Lurixa maybe in the old days created something.
Perhaps. So are we thinking this golem could date back thousands of years?
I have never seen anything crafted out of Zikar except for Aether Stream vehicles, and even that, Tanichi, for you, even that, like that was discovered in the last 50 years. So like they've been using Zikar for the hover wagons forever. But other than that, you've never seen even like all the recent inventions of like flying plateaus and lifts and things like that.
Yeah.
Those are all in the last 50 years or so with the introduction of steam power. It like you've never seen anything crafted out of Zikar either. I can only imagine it's at least a few hundred years old.
Interesting. Well, I guess there's
And
no
it's not
telling
like
what
the
happened.
city has any reports of it.
No.
But yes, after a few moments, the other attendant will come back, and they do have a waiver for. It is one written waiver with a large long line at the bottom, basically saying that you will not sue or it is all fault of your own. You were warned against entering. You, etc., etc. And
You accept it as your own stupid fault for going on.
Yeah, for accident, monster death, monster attacks, collapsing of caves.
If you die, it's your
Yeah.
fault. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, if you are all willing to give a signature,
Yeah.
Sign that away.
yeah, so
Why
Arta
not?
signs straight away. You'd see Ash signs as well.
But I follow Ichi. I'm assuming he doesn't hesitate, so neither do I.
No, yeah. Signed.
I go to sign my name, but then I realised I said Clovis, so I sign it as Clovis.
And loophole, that means Volu can sue.
And Eleni signs as Eleni. And that's not her name either. so,
Yeah.
so she's covered.
But to be fair, they're safe from that because if you try and sue, then you lied on a legal document.
That's true.
And they counter sue.
But how do
Ah, the
my...
pesky counter. I cast counter sue.
Oh, there are
I
definitely
witnessed the fact
magical
that he was
lawyers.
never. I
there
witnessed
has
the
to
fact
be.
that he was never given the chance to sign.
I love there is an anime, I think Lock Horizon, that sort of does it, where he sort of makes contracts and he makes contract magical items because he sort of takes real world knowledge into the game and he makes like actual life binding contracts and shit. And it's like, yeah, you of course you fucking would.
Yeah. It's like devil contracts kind of thing. If you know, like,
Well,
oh
this
no,
is what I
yeah.
say, like when you have that blood thing, there is a division of magic that's all
Mhm.
about how to like do that shit.
Yeah.
They're all the magical lawyers. But yes, so they will. Shall we then? We normally move in our own formations, but as your group has the majority, where would you like us? Ash and both me and Ash are close range, but Ash also has access to a lot of our potions. We have some holy water, some resistance from necrotics, antidotes, and such.
Wonderful.
We'll have Eleni as goalkeeper. We'll have me on the right wing. We'll have Ash on the left wing. We'll have Dante up front.
Typically, we keep those two, and we'll point to Clovis and is it Clovis?
Yes.
Yeah.
We
Clovis
all
and
know
Eleni towards
Clovis.
the front due to their scouting abilities. If Dante sticks with them, Arthur, you and I in the center, and then Ash towards the rear. That way, if anyone needs it, Ash can get forwards, and you and I can move wherever we're needed.
We usually have Volu / Clovis.
I'm trying to keep them further distance.
Oh, cool.
There
Well, my
is
insight,
method
my
in
my,
the
my, my
madness.
insight is -1, so I look at it and I'm confused, but I'm just not going to
Yeah.
say.
Mhm. I mean, it's not bad because both of them have quite high wisdom. Them being towards the front for scouting is
It makes sense to send the ranger ahead, right?
yeah, and then having Volu near you just also makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, my stealth's pretty high. So
I spot a lot.
Yeah,
No, you do. I don't.
which is
I have a -1 in my perception.
and Dante's with you guys because when you say, "Hey, something's close," Dante can go, "Where?"
Look out for that sign. What sign?
Boom.
Mind your head sign.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
Eleni would just nod at that and sort of start moving towards the front.
Okay.
Dante will lean over just to Ichi just for a moment, preferably not with Sir Arthur and all that. And we'll just go, so are you telling him? Are we doing this now?
We're moving.
Can I light my sword?
Yes.
I just think if we are going to a potentially infected place, my sword is the only thing that can do it.
I would agree.
And that will not cause an issue.
It shouldn't do. There are many mages and such that light their swords on fire.
Okay. Dante would just kind of like lean forward towards walk off towards Volu and Eleni. Firstly, I'm going to drop to stealth whilst we're walking along.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So, sorry,
Ooh.
I missed where you put Arthur. Sorry.
So Arthur's in the center with me.
Okay.
So those three at the front, me and Sir Arthur in the middle, and then Ash towards the back, kind of like a triangle formation.
My stealth is 9. So I'm not doing good on my rolls today.
I'm gonna stealth as well, Liam.
I shall also stealth.
Whilst doing this, I'm going to just say to them, be like, I'm going to light my sword. Do you guys want to be away from this if you are being quiet?
Do you need to light it now? Is that just for light, or?
It's for light, and also it's the only thing that damages the infection. Instead of having to waste time lighting it.
In which case, there's no point trying to be sneaky, is there?
Well, I'm going to
can-
try to be quiet.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, we might as well stealth to be quiet. I'm just thinking someone's going to see the light coming, aren't they?
maybe. But I'm happy to put myself in a different position to you guys. So they could see me and then you can jump them if necessary.
I mean, I don't have dark vision either, so yeah.
Probably best
happy,
if we stick together.
Happy for you to stay with us.
Yeah, then as we kind of get into the darkness and it starts getting darker and darker, Dante goes to reach his sword and just pulls it out. And even though, say again, massive sword, he just holds it in one hand. And he closes his eyes, and some of the burns on it, like around his arm, start to swell up again and not burst or that, but you know, the kind of, what do you call it? Pulse, that's the word. And as the color, they're just like orange and like burning light that kind of goes up his arm, crushes blade, and I cast sacred, my sacred right. Does it say sacred right?
Crimson right.
Crimson right.
There you go. Tomato. It's my thing, and I call it what I want. And, yeah, it's a Crimson Right, and I technically have two now. So, but I'm going to do the fire one.
Okay.
Did consider putting the other one on like
Yeah, no,
on the
you
bow
you
and
light
arrow.
up your sword. I'd say sort of as you entered first, you light up your sword. As Ichi and Sir Arthur enter, you would notice that the Sir Arthur will you see they sort of like look ahead and they were almost motioning to cast something themselves. But with you guys up ahead with the light, they'll say, oh, unless you need Ichi, we can see pretty well. Ash bring up the rear, and Ichi, as you sort of take a look behind, you would see that Ash pulls a torch out of the like a physical torch out, but then their eyes shimmer red for a second before the torch lights.
Ichi notices the red eyes kind of flash and happen.
And it was almost like just the color, like rippled, like with flames for a
Yeah,
second.
that very anime
Mm.
moment. And kind of like, um, wonderful. I believe Dante's sword will continue to burn now that they have ignited it. And then we'll kind of like fall silent for a little bit as we venture in. As we get to about like the second or third minute of just like straight walking, Ichi will then perk up again and Sir Arthur.
Yes, as we're doing this, can people up front that are doing perceptions or survivals roll them for me, and I'll flip back to you when. Yes, Ichi.
How would you go about the possession of an individual who has been possessed by a creature that's not normally able to do such?
He looks puzzled for a second. How do you mean?
I know, obviously, there are undead and such that have quite common capabilities of possession. But what if you were dealing with something of a more powerful elemental force that had been forced and trapped inside the body of a human or of a person?
Oh, are they contained? Is the
More or less, there are moments of where it feels like the bond could be breaking, I suppose. Well, not breaking, but moments of weakness in which they are able to become more active. But for the most part, yes, contained. It's a ritual Bruce was working on and used.
give me a. I think it's going to be probably a deception because you're obviously trying to have this conversation without like looking at Dante and like making it very obvious that you're talking about Dante.
Be nice to me, yeah. All my rolls are absolutely horrible, so just give me one.
I saw mine and Eleni's, judging by what we've just got there.
Yeah, we're being really observant.
I rolled a 19, 16 plus 3.
They were ponder for a moment and move forwards. Yeah, the guys up front, it's just as you're moving into this tunnel, it's a weird mix of for large portions of it, it's dug tunnel, very clearly dug tunnel. But also you would notice larger than the zone. And potentially that's the focus of this. This tunnel you're walking in was not dug by the zone. The zone came into this tunnel. And Dante, what did you get on your survival? Or perception, whichever one you did? I said you could do either.
I mean, I did perception because I didn't hear you say survival, but it was 7.
Okay.
I'm on an 11.
I'm on a 10.
Okay, yeah. So it's you're moving through, and the only thing that's really grabbing any of your attentions is there are holes within on the sides of this tunnel that sort of suggest other things tunneled onto this tunnel. But also every now and again, and like very rarely in this initial section, there's like a chunk of marble just dug up, turned over in the side of the wall somewhere. You sort of just one piece just on its own.
One piece does plenty.
But for Ichi, they will think for a moment and say, so this target you have in mind, something you are following already?
Well,
I'm afraid if it is only contained some of the time, it is still a threat. It depends what the creature itself. Is it malevolent?
there does seem to be malevolent aspects to it, but the individual that it is possessed is a good person who is fighting against it. We have sought out extra aid as to provide a more secure binding to try and relinquish some of that pressure. But I just wanted to get your opinion as towards if there are any
As
extra...
you're speaking in that moment, Dante, you're walking forwards.
No, don't do it.
You're moving forwards. And you take a step, and the bit of earth you just stepped on was not full, like solid, and it just crumbles away as your foot just begins to fall into a burrow that was hidden under the dust and dirt and rubble. Can you make me a dexterity saving throw, please?
Oh, it's so much better than what I thought it was.
That's fair,
Yeah.
And you almost heard your voice was cut out by the of rock and earth beginning to tumble down there.
So bear in mind, I have a dex save of +8. Okay,
What did you
I have
roll?
got 12.
Bearing in mind you also get the plus whatever from Ichi as well.
How close?
I think he
It's
has to be
within 10 feet.
Yeah, he's not within 10 feet.
No.
Okay.
Simply even just because you put Dante foot at the front, he's just
Oh, yeah. I was more imagining like...
Bolu and Eleni get it.
Yeah.
Well,
Dante's not front.
He
Oh,
was.
man.
He
He
was
is
in this
now.
moment.
Oh, God damn it.
I thought we were further ahead. I thought we might be.
I
Like
thought we were
20.
further ahead.
I thought we'd be around 20ish.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
But yeah, so Dante, you just and begin falling and falling. You
I just thought it was just like lose my leg or something. It wasn't like
no. It's so literally this bit. It's almost like a bit of rubble was sort of balanced over, and you know this from the zone. Their tunnels collapse inwards, but it's just if they dig straight upwards, it all just falls to the bottom. And as you sort of this pushes through, you suddenly realize that this is a fall and you begin to tumble. For Volu and Eleni, it happens too quick for you to even react to it as you just into a hole. Dante, you take 6 points of damage as you clatter against the side and fall with a heavy thump onto the pile of earth that's like crumbled at the bottom. As you're looking up at this, and for the Eleni with your just sort of passive survival, it's bigger and it's not a whole shape, it's almost oval shape. You think two things came up here.
Oh.
If you imagine and it almost looks like two things scrambled their way up this section.
I mean, does it look like the size of the zone, or does it look smaller than that? Is it like man-sized, or is it
slightly bigger than the zone?
Okay.
Dante, as you look down for Eleni and Volu, there's maybe about 30-40 feet down. You can see the glowing sword next to the like form of Dante.
I
only took 6 damage from a 40-foot drop.
Yeah, good lucky roll.
Oh, Jesus Christ! I thought. Okay, I'm not going to knock that.
I would sort of lean down and say, Dante, are you all right? I'm not full shouting. I'm just.
Arthur would just sort of put a hand on each shoulder and sort of again softly call forwards towards Volu. Should we hold for now? Do you need assistance?
Hold for now. We don't know where else is unsafe, where else is unstable.
Oh,
Does anyone have,
Let's put some rope down.
anyone rope?
Yeah. I've got rope.
Wonderful.
Okay,
Dante's just
so
there, and he's just like, fuck. Is there like, am I in a cavern or anything like that?
as you take a look around and your sort of eyes start to adjust, you are in. It doesn't look like a cavern. It looks almost like a dugout space.
Can I look to see what potentially? Because you've said, well, firstly, did you say that I recognise that it looked like two
So
things?
as you're looking around now, so this looks like if you imagine for Chris's headspace, if you imagine, the cameras that look inside like rabbit dens and mice dens and stuff, and there's occasionally those pockets that are like they're not a perfect circle, but it's just a bigger dugout space, and there are like leading off things.
Yeah.
It looks like that. There's another exit that's partially collapsed. It goes maybe 50 foot down. And then there's one down that way, but it ends 10 foot down at a brick wall. And as you sort of the rope begin, you guys would start to be able to get rope out, and you will have to like hold it because there's nothing to affix it to.
I'm
But
quite heavy though. I would chuck
Dante,
it down and wrap it around me.
Dante, as you sort of lift up the sword a bit, it's like bits, not quite the same marble stone that you've been seeing, but that same sort of finish.
I've been seeing.
So as you've been moving
Marble.
through, you've been seeing the occasional pieces of marble.
Oh, right. Okay. Sorry. Yeah.
There's like chunks of building or a piece of like tile or something. It looks not like that. It's not the same color marble as whatever you've seen, but it's almost like that same level of construction, that same level of
I was about
finish.
to say, it's
And it's like,
manufactured.
yes, it's definitely. And you're seeing like grey worked stone and like the back of a supporting archway.
Oh God. Guys, hold on a minute. I think I found something.
The rope would land next to you, Dante, as you're looking.
I'll be back in a minute. I think I've got
Dante,
something.
Dante, do not wander off.
Wanders off to check the wall.
Does anybody else have light? If not, I'll light a torch because I can't see in the dark.
No, I can't.
Arthur would click his fingers and a small little his gauntlet would glow.
I'm gonna keep shouting, be like, "It's fine. I'm still here. I think I found a wall or an arch."
Give me an investigation, Dante. So it definitely looks like the supporting arch. It's not like an archway that you would have on display, right? It's like a definitely supporting structure.
Thank you. Finally, rolled a 19. I've got +6.
Okay, so 25. As you're taking a look, so firstly, you notice a few sections that already have small cracks and holes in them. And as you sort of move your hand down, it's not purposeful by any means, but there is a section here where you think with a little bit of work, you could pull some of the stones out. When you peek through, there's no light on the other side.
I found a wall. Like made.
Itchy, you need
I
to
think
come
we can
quick.
get
He
through it.
sounds like he's got a concussion.
I think we could get through it.
Is there any of the city under here? I'm looking at Ichi and Arta while I'm saying this.
To be fair, do I know of anything like that? Like of ancient?
I
Yeah.
mean, not that's like recorded or not that's been on any maps. You're not even really near the catacombs or anything that could be like that sort of thing.
How far away are we from where we had a fight?
You've been walking maybe 10, 15 minutes.
So what's that?
Could be a
I
mile.
mean, it's
We're not going fast,
about a mile.
but it could be up to a mile. No.
I'm just trying to think of where they came out from. Could this be somehow connected?
Are we heading back towards the City Liam underground? Is it that sort of direction?
Yes, I'd say that with your survivals, you think you'd probably be just outside the edge of the crucible.
Okay. But then the mines have
Maybe a
been on
little
the
bit
other
further.
side, haven't they? That the actual
mines are on
mines
the
are
other
on the other
side.
side of the. Okay.
And you would know, literally, if you were planning to traverse under the whole way, that's a few day trek. Like it could factoring in, there's going to be ups and downs and dead ends, and that's not a short, maybe not a few days, but a good day, 8 hours easy.
Yeah, there's definitely something here, and Dante's gonna come back to the. Do you guys want to come down this way? I think it might goes back south towards the town. We
Yes.
said, see,
Mhm.
it's going
Um,
south,
Southeast.
going
Southeast.
southeast.
And as you're saying this, Ash would sort of move up past the hole and be sort of like touching softly. But they would sort of kneel down and they would say, the Golem tracks, however, seem to be heading straight on. I mean, you might have found something, it could be worth exploring, but maybe it's connected.
It's up to you guys. I'm either coming up or you're coming down.
I'm going to look at Volu and look at Ichi. Is it worth the detour?
You know what Dante's like when he gets like this, and then I'll just start climbing down the rope.
Yeah,
I
I'll
just
hold
offered to
it while
come
you
back
climb down.
upstairs. When Dante gets like this, you cheeky little bastard.
Ichi will kind of like turn to Serata and be like, it makes sense, I suppose, to check the new path now, and then if we find nothing, just continue on the old.
Okay, who is going last or staying behind? There is nothing really to pit onto here.
Well, I would have held the rope for Volu and
That's what I mean. So
as
who's
well,
basically
if Ash wants
who's going to
down.
attempt to climb the straight wall? Is essentially what he's asking, or who is going to stay behind and hold the rope?
I'm making an assumption that nobody's going to be able to hold my weight. Although I do have a quarterstaff. I'm wondering if we could tie a rope to something across the top or across the edge of the hole, Liam, and do it that way.
Arthur would sort of look and say it is possible, but I worry. He sort of presses the ground. It's dirt. Do you know what I mean? Like too much digging in, and it might just dig into the dirt.
What's the wall like that we're on? Like the cave that we're kind of like in, the tunnel. What are the walls kind of like?
It's almost compacted
Dirt.
almost sand and dirt. It's like, obviously we're very, very near the desert.
I don't have anything to make me lighter or to help me climb or anything.
Ash will say, I can stay behind if we need. I can set up here while you explore that section. I will come down if you plan to go further that way.
I think it's more about, I think I might have to stay behind. I don't know if I can get down there. And you might need someone to pull you back up.
I mean, Arthur and Ash would sort of look, you don't seem too much of a problem if you were climbing as well.
If it's climbable, then fine. Well, Volu's on his way down to you.
Yeah, Volu's already coming down. Volu with the rope, it's a fairly easy shuffle down.
I'm gonna show as he comes down, be like, over here, look.
Do you have any dark vision, Volu? I don't think you do you?
Halflings?
Halflings don't.
No.
But your sword's lighting it up.
Yeah, I'm just wondering. So you would see the stonework, but again, as you look up, if you imagine that the holes and cracks that are currently there are too small for you to get a sword to shine through while you look through, does that make sense? Because the sword's on fire, you can't like put it in front of your face to like look through the hole.
Sure,
it's also very big. But yeah, you would either have to open up some space, but Volu, as you take a look, again, it's just darkness. Although I'd say, Volu, with your passive perception, there's almost like that empty echo of like there's definitely a room and potentially rooms through there. You know, as you sort of make a little noise on this side, it sort of echoes through there.
Well, I'm gonna look at Ash and say, do you want to use the rope? If not, I'm gonna head down.
I will stay here for now. I will see if there is anything we could set up on. Maybe I could grab a piece of marble to. I'm pretty sure I saw one back here. They will sort of start moving off and seeing if they can find.
I will
They will
leave the
hold the
rope at
rope,
the top
yeah.
then.
Yeah,
And then I'll start climbing down once Volu's got to the bottom.
Okay. Archer and Ichi would be able to hold the rope while Eleni climbs down. They was as they're climbing down, Archer was sort of almost returning to the conversation of so I understand your concern. You are a good knight, but even the best of men can succumb to such dangers. And are you willing to risk the lives of innocents for a maybe?
I'm not willing to risk the life of an innocent who's been fighting for a long time. What if this one person has put in their time and effort to keeping this thing at bay? Don't they deserve a chance?
I see what you're saying, but I also, in my heart, would feel sorrow for their lost effort should that creature get out and destroy the world anyway. All those years of fighting just for it to do what they tried to stop it. I could not bring myself to do that, but I will not talk against your own actions, Ichi.
The issue we face is to try and if you were to do what you were to view, you would have to kill the person first, and then that would release, surely.
There are ways we could banish them entirely, kill them while banished. It would not, if they are willing, and we have had some good souls in the past sacrifice themselves towards binding a greater evil. We can do it in a demi-plane. This has been done before.
Thank you for your thought.
Yeah, and as you sort of say, thank you for the thoughts. You'll say, you next, Ichi.
Of course.
And as you are climbing down into this section, that is where we will end part 1 of this episode. Thank you very much for joining. As always, thank you very much for listening. I feel like Ichi's got some things to ponder. If you're enjoying the adventure so far, want to see what happens next, hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell so you know when the videos are coming out. And as always, roll well. Bye.
Bye.
This is the end of part 1. Part 2 airs Sunday 7 PM GMT, or will be linked in the top right of your screen now. Thank you for watching, and roll well.